saluting his superior while expressing deep gratitude for the recommendation that changed his entire life. Patting the young man's shoulder, the veteran officer tells him to go and do his absolute best in the field. Smiling broadly, the supervisor mentions that this recruit has always been a person with incredible luck. Showing some humility, the soldier credits his success to the fact that his boss always looked out for him. Laughing loudly, the veteran explains that there is a very specific reason why this recommendation happened. Leaning in with a grin, the boss prepares to share some news that will change everything for his student. Swallowing hard while waiting for the announcement, the young guy feels a massive wave of nervous tension. Revealing the big secret, the supervisor says the new position pays exactly double the original salary. Pure shock covers his face since the idea of getting that much money feels completely unbelievable to him. His eyes literally glow with currency symbols because he can only focus on the massive amount of cash. Imagining himself as a rich angel surrounded by bills, he feels like he is finally floating in heaven. 2 years pass and we see the guy looking much more relaxed while eating a snack in a very casual outfit. Currently staying in China, the protagonist enjoys a plate of delicious pork ribs during his lunch break. Leaning back, he brags about making 5 million won every single month just by sitting around at home. Looking at the messy apartment, he admits that some might think his job is a total waste of tax money. Lying upside down on the floor, the young man claims to be doing a job of extreme importance. Near the window, a professional camera stays ready to record every detail through the blinds. Getting up with a confident smile, the guy asks if it is finally time to start the secret mission. Global trade stops after the United Nations decides to apply heavy rules due to recent nuclear tests. Since North Korea kept launching massive missiles, the entire world started to watch them very closely. Speaking to the press, the American leader announces that very tough punishments will be applied now. Because of the sanctions, the only path left for survival is a single bridge connecting them to China. Known as the Friendship Bridge, this specific location is the main point for all trade between nations. High up in space, military satellites worth billions of dollars monitor every movement on that ground. Even though satellites are watching, South Korea also monitors everything through this talented guy. While staring at a screen all day, the genius acts as a top-level asset for his entire country. Noticing something strange, the young man opens his eyes wide and realizes he is no longer alone. Hearing the electronic lock click, the professional knows that an unexpected visitor just arrived. Grabbing a silenced pistol, the boy prepares to face whoever is brave enough to enter his home. Standing at the entrance, an old man in a long coat looks calm even with a weapon pointed at him. Looking intense, the veteran agent stares at the young boy who is holding a gun with a very serious expression. Smiling, the old man asks if the day was good, then suggests they go out to grab some delicious pork for dinner. Agreeing immediately, the trainee looks happy while following his senior to the restaurant they always visit. Arriving at the place, the city lights glow while they enter a cozy spot known for its peaceful atmosphere. Walking through the tables, a cute waitress in a red dress announces that the special order is almost ready to serve. Staring intently, the protagonist cannot take his eyes off the girl as she moves gracefully around the room. Laughing loudly, the old man teases the kid for staring too much, then mentions that the menu is finally coming. Changing his tone, the senior agent asks if a specific truck showed up because he feels like something is wrong. Shaking his head, the young man confirms the vehicle never appeared on the bridge, which makes the mood very heavy. Being a veteran with 20 years of experience in China, this old guy is actually a top-secret Black Ops agent. Working within a hidden network, the boy explains that this senior is his only real contact in this dangerous city. Interrupting the talk, the waitress arrives with the hot plates while announcing that the food is finally served. Smiling brightly, she places the meat down and the kid thinks she might be his only other friend in this place. Waving back with a big grin, the two youngsters share a friendly moment before starting their meal together. Taking a big bite, the old agent enjoys the pork since he needs all the energy for whatever mission comes next. The veteran notices how the boy now speaks Chinese much better while they share a meal together. Eating his food, the young man mentions he has been around for a long time and got used to the area. With a serious look, the old guy warns him to stay alert since the city of Dandong is extremely dangerous. Looking at the map, we see how this location sits right on the border between China and the Koreas. While the streets might look calm during the day, a dark secret hides behind the buildings at night. Like predators waiting in the shadows, many spies are blending in with the regular people on the street. Agents from the biggest countries like America and Russia are everywhere watching every single move. Even the most powerful criminal groups like the Triads have their best men working in these alleys. Secret organizations from North Korea also participate in this deadly game of shadows and mystery. All these terrifying people are gathered in one spot, making this city a ticking time bomb for everyone. Just one tiny mistake or a small fight here could start a huge conflict between all these world powers. Realizing the gravity of the situation, the protagonist stays quiet while processing the scary truth. Sweat drops from his face as the tension in the room becomes almost impossible to handle right now. The mentor then asks if the reason for his worry is a specific code named 9330. He wonders if it involves the mysterious truck from North Korea that suddenly vanished from the streets. Looking at the boy, the older man explains that he has some very urgent overtime work for him to complete tonight. Revealing a secret drug deal, the boss tells him that a criminal group is meeting and needs someone to take photos. Startled by the request, the young guy asks why he has to go since that kind of job is meant for field agents. Claiming he is just a simple agent number 5, the youth suggests sending a combat expert instead of himself. Shaking his head, the mentor complains about modern kids and promises to pay a very large amount of extra money. Although he was complaining before, the offer of 5 million won makes the protagonist change his mind instantly. Hidden deep in the grass, the boy prepares his camera while smiling about the big reward he is going to receive. Capturing every single moment from a distance, the spy watches as several dark figures gather in the shadows. Aiming carefully at the targets, the photographer wonders who exactly the Triads are meeting with at this hour. Watching from his spot, he sees piles of cash and illegal items being exchanged between the two suspicious groups. While adjusting the lens for a better view, the young man zooms in on the scene to identify the other party. Suddenly noticing a specific license plate on the vehicle, the undercover agent feels a sudden sense of dread. Because he remembers a previous talk with his boss, the hero realizes that this truck was a priority target. Terrified by the discovery of the secret northern group, the kid understands the danger and tries to flee fast. Before he can even move, a cold gun barrel is pressed against his head and stops him from escaping the area. Suddenly, a mysterious man points a weapon and asks who the intruder is while staring him down. Falling into the tall grass, the expensive camera makes a thud and lies there forgotten for a moment. Begging for his life, the young guy raises his hands and tells the soldier not to fire his weapon. Looking disgusted, the gunman calls him a brat, then demands that he starts speaking clearly right away. Trembling with fear, the student wonders if this dangerous person is actually alone in the dark woods. Panning out, we see another guard with a rifle appearing from the shadows to surround the poor kid. Falling to his knees, the protagonist realizes he is trapped while looking at the weapons pointed his way. Panicking internally, he tries to lie by saying he is just a simple traveler passing through the area. Standing tall like a giant, a huge figure appears, so the boy offers everything he has to be released. Regretting his choices, the young man thinks about the 5 million won bonus that lured him into this mess. Looming over the victim, the giant calls him a comrade and waits for a real explanation for his presence. Staring intensely, the leader tells the captive to stop playing games and tell the whole truth now. Moving his foot near the gear, the Titan shows how easily he could crush the evidence on the ground. Questioning the situation, the boss asks why a South Korean is taking photos on Chinese land. Desperately shouting, the youth claims he was only there to take pictures of migratory birds in the sky. Suddenly, a loud slap echoes through the air as the poor guy gets hit across his face. Gritting his teeth, the scarred leader yells that he should stop telling such obvious lies. Holding his red cheek in pain, the victim stares back with a look of pure terror. Surrounded by armed men in the dark woods, he is accused of being a secret agent. Desperately, the boy raises his hands and pleads that there must be some kind of big mistake. Ignoring the cries for mercy, the leader tells his subordinate to finish him off quietly. Screwing a metal silencer onto the barrel, the cold killer prepares to end everything. Shaking with fear, the captive claims he was just specially recruited to take a few pictures. Aiming the weapon directly at his head, the gunman shows no emotion while readying the shot. Sweating under the pressure, the protagonist thinks back to why he was even chosen for this. Moving back in time, we see a cheerful soldier putting an arm around the trainee. Grinning widely, the superior says that he always knew the kid would make it because of luck. Smiling back, the boy humbly says that it was only because his boss looked out for him. Laughing out loud, the officer claims he knows exactly why he gave that recommendation. Before becoming a low-level worker, the main character had a very different identity in the past. Soldiers fire their weapons while saying they never saw such a beast during their whole military career. Standing tall is a member of the Special Warfare Command who looks ready for a serious fight. This guy is Sergeant First Class Kong Chang Song, and he has some very scary glowing eyes. Suddenly a man in a brown jacket aims a silenced pistol at the protagonist to take him down. Moving fast, the main character blocks the attack and prepares to counter his opponent right away. Grabbing the wrist, he twists the arm of the enemy so he can take control of the weapon. Using the captured gun, the hero forces it to fire and hits another soldier standing nearby. The poor guys scream in pain as they get blasted by their own teammate in the middle of the chaos. Keeping a tight grip, the protagonist continues to manipulate the shooter like a puppet on strings. Slamming the guy down, he uses the enemy as a human shield to protect himself from the incoming fire. With a cold stare, the boy shows that he is not bothered at all by the intense situation around him. Pulling the trigger several times, he finishes off the villain who tried to shoot him just a moment ago. Another angry enemy in red yells for him to die while spraying bullets everywhere in a panic. Hiding behind his fleshy shield, the protagonist waits for the right moment to make his next move. Looking through the gap with a glowing eye, the warrior prepares to end this fight once and for all. Looking intensely at the threat, the main character feels the sweat dripping down his face. With a glowing eye, the professional aims his weapon while preparing to take the next shot. Standing amidst the fallen bodies, the agent realizes that the situation has become a total mess. On the muddy ground, the defeated men show how quickly the silent battle ended for them. After hearing the loud bang of the gun, the two dangerous groups nearby start searching for the source. Representing the massive triad organization, these guys in suits look ready for a serious fight. Hidden in the shadows, the secret North Korean group known as Room 391 arrives. Because the cleanup will be a huge pain, the specialist complains about his difficult work. Even if it sounds extreme, the lethal protagonist wonders if he should just finish everyone off. Working as a low-level employee for the National Intelligence Service is definitely not an easy job. Reacting to the sudden noise, the fighter notices that more enemies are approaching his position. While shooting their weapons everywhere, the angry men in suits try to hit the hidden target. Safely behind a large rock, the skilled operative waits for the perfect moment to strike back. Glowing with a red light, his eyes show that the predator is now ready to hunt his prey. Against 30 enemies, the expert decides to steal a rifle so he can create some massive chaos. Hiding behind a wall, the protagonist hears angry shouts about an attack and feels confused by all the noise. Reaching down, the young man grabs his professional camera to see the situation more clearly from his hiding spot. Peering through the lens, he observes the scene and asks himself what those people are doing in the middle of the night. Through the small screen, he sees several men in suits firing their weapons and hitting their targets during the chaos. The battle continues as bullets fly everywhere while the camera records every single moment of this intense fight. Watching the screen, he notices that the Triads and North Koreans are busy fighting each other and totally ignore him. Stunned by this sudden turn of events, the boy pulls back from his equipment while trying to process the situation. With a tired expression on his face, the protagonist wonders why everything is turning into such a massive mess. He thinks that maybe the North Koreans mistook his previous actions for an offensive move from the rival group. Shouting loudly, the group of soldiers decides to launch a full assault since they believe their scouts were taken down. Flashes of light fill the dark field, and the young man considers if both sides just assumed they were under attack. The men in suits start returning fire immediately because they are convinced that the other side started the war. Angrily, the fighters suspect that there was never a plan for a peaceful deal and they just want to steal the money. Refusing to hand over any cash, the suit-wearing guys demand the illegal products while keeping their fingers on the trigger. Walking away with a new weapon, the boy realizes he got very lucky because his enemies are busy destroying themselves. Looking at the messy scene, the protagonist realizes everyone was taken out during this dark deal. Swiftly checking the area, the boy decides to find out what happened and then escape from this place. Aiming his weapon at a gas pump, the young man stays alert for any hidden danger while walking in the dark. Because they started a fight in a gas station, the fighter thinks these people are completely insane. While searching the ground carefully, the teen notices something interesting that catches his attention. In total shock, the protagonist cannot believe what he is currently seeing on that small screen. Within a flashback, a handsome soldier named Kong Chang Song stands tall while wearing a formal uniform. From his comfortable chair, the older commander laughs while mentioning that this specific man is a legend. Moving his hands around, the officer explains that besides monster skills, there is another reason for his fame. During an overseas mission, they were sent to a dusty desert base to handle a very difficult situation. With a serious face, the elite warrior reports that he successfully brought back all the stolen supplies. Hidden inside many wooden crates, a huge amount of recovered military gear sits piled up in the room. Feeling confused, the boss asks how he did it, and the guy says he simply got lucky while walking alone. Capturing a famous terrorist easily, the soldier brings the criminal, who looks terrified while wearing handcuffs. Although it sounds impossible, the hero claims he just ran into the enemy while he was out shopping. A soldier salutes while reporting that he rescued all the hostages, and his friend celebrates the success right beside him. The officer looks confused and asks about those new sunglasses, but the lucky guy just says he found them while resting. While looking at the reports, the leader laughs because this young man always has the most insane luck during his missions. Everyone knows that the handsome soldier is a legend, and he will surely continue his winning streak at the new secret job. Standing in the dark, the protagonist feels surprised because he somehow managed to find something incredible once again. After opening a heavy metal case, he sees a massive pile of cash that is shining brighter than the sun itself. He holds 2 stacks of bills and realizes that $2 million is over 2 billion won in his local currency. Getting closer, he inhales the sweet scent of the paper and his eyes widen at the thought of being rich forever. This massive amount of wealth is even better than winning the lottery twice, and the hero cannot stop smiling. Suddenly, the boy shakes his head to stay focused, since he knows that he needs to keep his cool in this situation. Looking very determined, he tells himself to get a grip and finish the work that must be done before leaving the place. Taking his rifle, he starts shooting at the security cameras to make sure that nobody can see what he is doing there. The young man keeps firing at every electronic device in the room so that all the evidence of his presence is gone. He looks at the heavy suitcase and some extra bags filled with treasure that are now ready to be moved away. Using a rusty shovel, the happy protagonist starts digging a hole in the ground to hide his secret fortune from the world. Shoveling the dirt, he makes sure to destroy all the local surveillance footage first. After that, the black suitcase filled with illegal items gets buried near a gas station. Accelerating his motorcycle, he successfully finishes the mission to hide the evidence. Staring through the helmet visor, the guy starts feeling very conflicted inside. He considers telling his boss about those 2,400,000,000 won he found. Visualizing that massive pile of cash makes his heartbeat way faster than normal. Memories of his family back in Korea keep appearing while he rides through the night. Thinking of his younger siblings who struggled alone, he wonders if he should stay quiet. Hidden in the trees, a single recording lens watches the empty road from above. Believing that nobody will ever find out, he thinks his secret is completely safe. Entering the urban area, the bright neon lights reveal the busy streets of the city. Looking at the foreign characters on the wall, he realizes that things are changing. Suddenly, all those worries about wealth disappear because a bigger trouble arrives. Multiple officers are standing right at the entrance while acting very suspicious. Realizing the area is crawling with guards, the driver feels like his luck is running out. The protagonist is completely shocked because the intelligence base just got hit by a surprise attack. Looking at this veteran, we see Choi, who spent over 20 years building a huge secret network of spies. Staring at the ground, our hero realizes that his mentor did not survive the brutal fight. Carefully, the medical staff covers the fallen agent while the boy watches everything in silence. Once the white sheet is over the body, the reality of the situation finally starts to sink in. Losing his only connection to the agency means that the young spy is now totally alone in this mess. Clenching his teeth, the main character feels a mix of intense anger and deep fear for his own life. Thinking about the future, he knows that many international groups are now hunting for his head. Showing the faces of several agents, the screen confirms that their whole secret team is now public. Appearing on the digital screen is his official identity card identifying him as a member of the elite unit. Surrounded by many dangerous weapons, the protagonist understands he must flee the country or perish. Driving past a road sign, he follows the highway under the dark sky to reach his next destination. Arriving at the port city of Dalian, the bright lights of the buildings reflect on the cold water. Speeding through the empty streets, the boy uses a motorcycle to move as fast as possible. Taking off his helmet, the agent recalls the emergency protocol for when a contact disappears. Walking quickly towards the building, the protagonist follows the order to reach the safe house as fast as he can. Inside the dark room, he finds an old orange payphone which seems to be the only way to communicate with his team. Narrowing his glowing eyes, the young man prepares himself for what is about to happen next in this dangerous mission. Holding a small device, he types the code 505, which means an urgent plea for help to the organization. Waiting for a response, he taps his fingers on the machine while looking around to make sure he is completely alone. Suddenly the phone starts to ring and he grabs the receiver with a lot of tension in his body because of the silence. Reporting as Agent Dove 5, he explains his presence to the mysterious voice on the other side of the line right now. Mentioning his handler, he begins to talk about the person known as Dove 2 while his voice starts to tremble a bit. Revealing the tragic news, he says that the other agent has passed away while standing alone in the cold booth. Fearing for his own life, the boy explains that his identity might be exposed and he is now in big trouble. Seeing a bright flash of light behind him, he stops talking and turns his head with a confused expression on his face. Screeching tires echo through the night as a van suddenly appears and crashes into his location with a lot of force. Gasping in total shock, the protagonist cannot believe what is happening while he still holds the phone in his hand. Locking the metal cuffs around his wrists, the mysterious attackers make sure he cannot escape anywhere because he is caught. Sitting silently in the back of a car, the poor guy looks down at his tied hands, feeling completely defeated and sad. A gun is pointed directly at the protagonist while he lies down on the seat of the car. Feeling annoyed, the main character asks if this weird treatment is just part of a rough welcoming ceremony. The serious man in the suit points his weapon and demands to see some fingerprints right now. While keeping him restrained, the glasses guy prepares a device to scan the identity of the captive. Pressing his finger against the glowing blue scanner, the boy waits for the machine to do its job. A detailed image of the thumbprint appears on the screen as the system starts the verification process. On the display, a photo showing him in a formal military uniform confirms his past life as a soldier. Looking at the results, the agent confirms that the target is indeed the operative known as Dandung Do 5. Lowering the gun, the man explains that all these extreme measures are just for general security purposes. Sweating a little, the hero accepts the explanation but still wonders what is going to happen next. Suddenly, a dark cloth is thrown over his head to block his vision before they move again. Commands are barked in the darkness while he is led into a secret safe house without any further info. Once they arrive inside the building, the heavy black hood is finally removed from his face. Standing in the small room, the agent tells him to stay put until instructions arrive from headquarters. Unlocking the metal cuffs, the suited man points out the bathroom and warns him not to leave the area. Looking quite stressed out, the young man hears that it is time for him to rest for the night. His boss in a dark suit mentions that they will continue this conversation when the sun comes up. Lying in bed, the muscular hero stares at the clock while feeling unable to close his eyes properly. Thinking about the tragedy, he remembers that old man Choi lost his life during that terrible shootout. Flashes of the crime scene appear showing the victim being carried away after the battle ended. Realizing the danger, he knows an assassination squad is probably hunting him down right now. Visions of himself covered in red stains haunt his mind as he tries to find some peace. If a way out of the country is not found soon, he believes his life will surely reach its end. Clutching his own shoulders, the fighter hopes that the organization will provide a safe exit plan. Outside the quiet building, the night passes slowly while everyone waits for the next move. Suddenly, the morning arrives with a loud noise that wakes up the entire neighborhood at once. Jumping up in anger, the protagonist asks why on earth he should return to such a dangerous job. Slamming the table, he argues that going back is a death sentence since his secret identity is gone. Sitting calmly, the agent explains that the higher-ups have already decided he will be totally fine. Demanding a real answer, the tired guy asks what could possibly make them think he is out of danger. Looking down at the boy, the boss starts explaining the harsh truth of his current situation. Hearing those words, the young man freezes because he is just a beginner-level worker at the intelligence agency. Continuing the explanation, the senior says that many people know about the agents watching over the Big River Bridge. Looking at the massive structure, it becomes clear that many different countries keep an eye on this specific location. Displaying several flags, the man notes that global powers know he is there, yet they choose to ignore him completely. The protagonist starts sweating as he learns that killing him is simply too much work for very little reward. Stuttering in disbelief, the young guy tries to find a reason to justify his own importance to the organization. Acting like a desperate kid, the rookie argues that he is basically a human version of an expensive space satellite. The boss remains cold while stating that any missing worker can be replaced by someone else in a heartbeat. Staring into nothingness, the poor guy feels his soul leaving his body after being called totally expendable. Shaking with intense anger, the boy is forced to listen as his superior tells him to just go back to his station. As the sun sets over the city, the crows fly around the old apartment building where the agent resides. Realizing that his life has very little value makes the threat of being hunted down feel like a distant dream. Suddenly the light flickers inside one of the rooms while the evening turns darker for the lonely worker. Sitting at a desk surrounded by trash, the exhausted agent finally returns to his boring post with a heavy heart. Lying on the floor, the young boy wonders if he is really that insignificant while looking totally defeated. Tears fall from his eyes since the kid feels like a complete loser who cannot do anything right at this moment. Sniffing loudly inside the room, the protagonist questions if he is not even worth being eliminated by his foes. Two guys in suits watch from behind the couch as they prepare to do something very mean to the poor child. While the student eats his snack and cries, the thugs decide it is finally time to finish their job today. Raising a sharp tool, one attacker gets ready to strike the unsuspecting target lying on the ground. The bag of snacks falls as the weapon swings down with a lot of force to end everything right now. Suddenly the men stop and look completely shocked as if they just saw a ghost right in front of them. Looking up at them, the teenager seems different now and the atmosphere in the room changes completely. With glowing eyes, he says he is very happy, which makes the situation 10 times scarier for the bad guys. Traveling to the city center, the lights of the buildings show that the night is only just beginning. Another person is screaming in fear because he made a huge mistake that might cost him his entire life. Begging for mercy, he promises to never sell forbidden items in that territory ever again while crying. That is when the branch chief of the Black Dragon Society appears, looking very dangerous with his blade. Putting the sharp edge near the face of the traitor, the boss shows that there is no escape for him. Looking mean, the big boss accuses the man of stealing some illegal stuff from a gas station. Terrified, the guy with many gold chains screams that he never stole anything at all. Standing over several fallen men, the leader mentions they only deal with high-quality goods from abroad. Pointing at the bottle on the table, the desperate man swears this product was definitely not taken. Glancing at his subordinates, the boss remains silent while everyone waits for his next move. Trembling with fear, the victim asks if they would really be crazy enough to rob such a powerful gang. Approaching the group, a smart-looking man with glasses asks what is going on there. Checking the texture of the goods, the deputy chief named Wusher says this is not even good quality. Hearing this, the boss realizes that his group was not actually robbed by these losers. Feeling relieved, the man admits they just wanted to make some quick cash with their own stuff. Holding a sharp tool near the guy's face, the leader demands to know if he should really trust him. Changing his expression, the big guy smiles and says he will finally believe the story. Lowering the weapon, the boss makes the poor man cry with joy while he says thank you. Suddenly, the boss raises his arm high with a very scary look on his face. In a dark room, everything ends with a messy scene as the leader decides to finish the job. A fallen hand twitches on the ground while the red lights glow around the intense scene. Holding a sharp tool tightly, the leader mentions that the Triads are the true kings of China. Gritting his teeth, the boss claims that the Black Dragon Society is the one ruling this whole region. Behind the serious glasses guy stands a group of dangerous men ready for some heavy action. Recalling a past event, someone explains how a brave punk dared to raid their secret deal site. Those sneaky dealers managed to steal both the illegal goods and a huge pile of cash. Throwing dollars like water, the thief seems to be enjoying the stolen fortune without any care. Even an old agent from the Secret Service was eliminated during their previous encounter. Standing in the middle of the crowd, the young man looks totally shocked by the news. Surrounding himself with defeated enemies, the boss orders his men to bring everyone in for questioning. With a scary look on his face, the leader vows to punish the thief once they finally catch him. Looking at the dark building from afar, the search continues for the one who stole from the gang. Jumping into action, the protagonist throws a powerful punch to start the intense fight. Swinging a heavy weapon, the angry thug tries to hit the kid who just appeared out of nowhere. Moving like a pro, the hero manages to block the strike and keep himself safe from the hit. Looking completely shocked, the man can hardly believe what is happening right in front of his eyes. Suddenly a punch lands directly on his face as the green tracksuit boy attacks with insane speed. Keeping a serious expression, the young fighter shows that he is not playing around at all. Another heavy hit connects while the attacker continues his relentless assault without stopping even for a second. Trying to use a hidden blade, the man gets his arm caught by the fast reflexes of his opponent. Swinging the large guy over his shoulder, the student slams him into the floor with massive power. Both weapons clatter on the ground because the struggle has reached a final and decisive point. Falling backwards, the suit wearer crashes against the tiles while the air leaves his lungs completely. Crying out in intense pain, he lies defeated because he never expected this kid to be so strong. Standing tall, the protagonist looks down at the mess he made with a cold and steady gaze. Meanwhile, the apartment building stays quiet under the dark night sky while the fight finally settles down. Waking the loser up with a slap, the boy ensures that his captive is fully awake to talk. Staring intensely, the youth demands that the man opens his eyes since the interrogation is about to begin. Strapping the ropes tightly, the fighter makes sure that his enemies cannot move or escape anywhere. Complaining loudly, the tied-up men demand to be released, but the boy simply says no to their request. The angry guy screams with a very scary face while asking if the boy even knows his identity. Looking completely lost, the young man simply answers that he has no idea who this loud person is. Infuriated, the man shouts that he is the vice leader of the Firebear gang and demands respect. Without showing any fear, the protagonist just says okay and keeps a totally blank expression. While the criminal boils with rage, the student remains silent and looks quite bored by the talk. Scratching his head, the kid listens to more insults while the villain wonders if he understands. Mentioning the Black Dragon Society, the thug tries to intimidate him with names of big groups. Suddenly, the eyes of the boy change color because he finally recognizes that specific organization. Now tied up with ropes, the guy laughs, thinking his connections will save him from this mess. Even though he is captured, the loudmouth keeps talking trash and asking if the boy is crazy. Leaning in close, the protagonist calls him a low-level punk who works for small subcontractors. Continuing the roast, the young man says that not even the guy's mother knows who he is. Telling him to shut up, the hero demands that he stops asking that annoying question forever. Tears start falling from the thug's face when he hears a threat about getting hit with a dumbbell. Outside the building, the night is quiet while the interrogation continues in the top room. Typing quickly on the laptop, the young man exposes a secret base belonging to the dangerous Firebear gang. Leaning back with a heavy sigh, the main character sends a request to headquarters to shut down the entire operation. During a rough interrogation, he managed to squeeze information out of the vice leader while holding a heavy weight. He discovered that a powerful group killed an old man just to mess with a big investigation involving illegal substances. While things were getting heated, the gang members only wanted to grab the people inside that specific building. Without anyone noticing, the clever protagonist actually walked away with a suitcase full of cash and forbidden goods. Now he realizes that both the society and the triads are going to hunt him down for taking their precious stash. Sweat drips down his face because he knows that he is in deep trouble with all these scary criminals on his tail. Focusing on his computer screen, the guy tries to figure out his next move before things get even more out of hand. Thinking that he can just leave China and hide for a while, he waits for the one final message to confirm his escape. With a single click of the mouse, he opens the notification expecting good news about the closing of the hideout. His eyes widen in pure shock as he reads the response that he definitely was not expecting to see today. Instead of closing the base, his boss denies the request and orders him to track the leader of Room 39. Covering his face in total despair, the young man blames himself for creating such a massive and dangerous mess. Suddenly, a new thought crosses his mind as he realizes that he might still have a chance to fix everything. The door lock starts beeping as someone prepares to enter the room. Stepping inside, the young man shows a tired face while wearing his green tracksuit. Suddenly, a rude voice calls him names and catches his attention immediately. Behind him stands a scary woman holding a sharp knife while surrounded by her dangerous crew. Usually people think secret agents in movies are super cool and also very classy. The boy remembers a time when he looked fancy in a suit during a big celebration. Now the reality is quite different as flies buzz around his messy hair and cheap clothes. The angry lady keeps talking trash because she thinks she is a big deal in this place. She claims to be the powerful boss of the Firebear gang and looks very serious about it. Our hero just stares back with a funny face since he has no idea who this lady is. Feeling the situation is ridiculous, he lets out a small laugh that makes her even madder. Screaming enraged, the gang leader lunges forward to strike him with her blade. Without breaking a sweat, the protagonist catches her arm and stops the move easily. Shocked by his speed, the woman starts sweating as she realizes he is not a normal kid. Getting ready to end this quickly, the fighter clenches his fist for a powerful counterattack. Suddenly a body is sent flying high into the sky after a massive impact that echoes through the whole area. Crashing back down, the poor guy can barely react as the force of the hit keeps him suspended in the air. Seeing the chaos, a group of angry thugs in suits charge forward while shouting for everyone to finish the job. Staring back with glowing eyes, the protagonist looks completely calm despite being surrounded by so many enemies. Moving with insane speed, the young man easily avoids a heavy wooden bat that was aimed right at his head. Quickly counterattacking, he lands a solid punch on the first attacker and sends him spinning away instantly. Another goon tries to use a hammer, but the fighter in the green tracksuit is already prepared for the next move. Ducking under the wild swing, the hero shows off his superior reflexes while the enemies struggle to keep up. Clenching his fist, the fighter prepares to end the confrontation by focusing all his strength into a single point. Landing a brutal uppercut, the tracksuit warrior knocks the hammer guy out before he even knows what happened. Watching from the sidelines, the remaining criminals are terrified because he defeated 4 men in an instant. Looking down at the defeated group, the main character ignores the whispers of the crowd gathered in the hallway. Reaching down, he grabs a tool from the floor and realizes that real life is much different from the movies. Standing back up, the hero is questioned by the others, who wonder what he plans to do with that weapon in his hand. Raising the hammer high, he challenges every single one of them to come at him at the same time if they have the guts. A van speeds through the night as a man complains about having to drive all the way to the city so late. The bright neon lights of the city glow while the vehicle finally reaches its destination in the dark streets. Opening the car door, the man mumbles that kids today are just a big disappointment because they have no hope. Looking at a quiet building, he wonders if the target called number 5 is actually waiting inside that room. Standing firmly by his ride, the tough guy prepares himself to meet the person he was sent to help out. Turning around, we see he is an elite agent named number 9 who wants to check out this new guy. This scary-looking dude is actually a combat specialist and a high-level secret agent for the government. Staring forward with a serious face, the agent calls out the code name to see if anyone responds to him. Suddenly a young boy in a green tracksuit pops out and asks if this big guy is the senior agent sent by the boss. The mission details mention that the leader of Room 39 would cross the bridge in just a few hours. Letting out a long sigh, the senior agent feels frustrated because the situation is much worse than he thought. Getting angry, he demands an apology from the kid for being so rude, since he should show more respect. Rebuking the rookie, he says that agents should never get caught or let common thugs find their secret base. The boy calmly explains that he was just following orders and that some local gang started making trouble first. This backtalk makes the senior explode with rage as he cannot believe a rookie is acting like a brat to him. Bowing low, the boy says he is sorry, but inside his head he is actually cursing the older man. Shoving the kid out of the way, the veteran complains that he cannot even hide his emotions properly. Turning away, the leader asks about the target filming and learns the rookie already sent the files to base. High-quality images show a car from Pyongyang and confirm the location of the target, number 41. Watching the screen, the senior explains that they must prepare to leave the area immediately. Looking nervous, the trainee mentions a problem and the boss wonders what could be wrong now. Opening the door, the teenager reveals that he left several thugs tied up inside the room for them to see. Reacting with total shock, the man slams the door shut while his hand trembles from the sudden surprise. Losing his temper, the veteran calls the newcomer insane for exposing their secret identity to the criminals. Realizing his mistake, the amateur admits that the enemies already saw his face during the previous fight. Grabbing the kid by his shirt, the boss gets even more furious because the whole mission is now ruined. Shaking his head, the boy tries to explain he was ambushed and had to defend himself to survive. Silencing the rookie, the older man says he has heard enough and his expression becomes very cold. Looking down, the leader says he will fix the mess but orders the younger agent to quit the job forever. Putting on a black mask, the veteran prepares his silenced pistol and tells the kid to leave the country. The young man looks completely shocked, as if he just heard the worst news of his life. A masked guy points a weapon while threatening to end him if he ever dares to return to this country. Grabbing the handle, the stranger tells the boy he is simply not good enough to be a real secret agent. Shaking with fear, the protagonist realizes he cannot just give up on his dream of working for the government. Getting angry, he mentions needing to get back his 2.4 billion before even thinking about quitting. While walking away, the lead character wonders if there is any other way to fix this mess and survive. Suddenly the masked man looks totally confused and calls the other guy a complete psycho. Behind them a large group of people including a red-haired lady are tied up and staring at the weapon. Turning around, the shooter demands to know who the kid is because he was not supposed to be there. Checking his weapon, the attacker wonders why there are so many people present instead of just 2. Calculating the numbers, the boy wonders if 15 more targets are too hard to handle for the gunman. Screaming in rage, the masked guy says that hurting 17 civilians makes someone a terrorist and not an agent. Rubbing his chin, the protagonist enters deep thought while trying to find a solution to this problem. Still thinking, the main character stays silent while the angry man asks how they will cover this up. Having a bright idea, the young man smiles because he finally found a way to resolve everything quietly. Hearing a weird laugh, the man in the mask listens as the stranger says one simple thing will fix all their problems. Feeling really nervous, the fighter wonders if the person standing in front of him is actually a total lunatic.